us now with more is Ava Labs founder and CEO, Emin Gun Sirer. Welcome, Emin. Thank you for joining us. So in addition to the price rise, we've seen an increase in Avax unique wallet addresses to over 2 million. Total lock value is holding steady at around 11 billion compared to other chains that are currently experiencing a lot of volatility. So what's behind this recent growth?
Caitlin, thank you very much for having me. We've seen in the 15, 16 months that Avalanche has been out, and tremendous growth. Not only have we had enormous growth in the number of users, we have over 2 million users now, but we've seen hockey stick growth in monthly active wallets. We've seen an enormous amount of value in total value locked. What's behind this is just the kind of technology that many other projects strive for, that Avalanche has delivered reliably. We have delivered through a superior consensus protocol, very high transactions per second, and very, very low time to finality. So much so that interacting with the chain feels almost like interacting with a website. And in addition to that, we have the subnets that allow us to accommodate many different use cases on top of our platform. So those two facts combined, along with all sorts of partnerships we've had with blue chip dApps and applications, DeFi applications, have given us tremendous growth. And we're now poised for growth in the GameFi space.
Yeah, so, actually, we have a image right now that we're showing of the subnets out there. You know, when you talk about it, it's kind of confusing without the visuals, but I understand Avalanche's goal is to tokenize all assets. And earlier this month, the Avalanche Foundation announced a multiverse incentive fund of 4 million Avax tokens. That's now worth about 350 million in today's prices to incubate these subnets, which are those application-specific blockchains on Avalanche that are supposed to scale the protocol horizontally. So what are the big projects that are building subnets, and what will be the first killer use cases?
Well, there are quite a few, actually. So one of the first things that I'm really excited about are DeFi applications that currently are experiencing high fees that are moving to their own subnets. So we've seen, for example, that AMMs are very successful, but they unfortunately are plagued by high slippage for their users. And we haven't seen central limit order books, decentralized exchanges that are actually kind of like the markets we all know. They haven't taken off on regular blockchains. They consume too much gas. So some of our DeFi applications that consume a lot of gas, we would like to move to their own subnets. Prime among these is Dexalot, which is a central limit order book application, very familiar to your listeners and audiences from TradFi. Another example is games. We have Krabada, which is a very, very popular game. It's unfortunately consuming a lot of gas on chain and creates a lot of load. And that's a perfect example of the kind of thing we would like to move to a different subnet where it's isolated from the price action on the main network. And there it can have its own token, be used for all sorts of other things. And it can also be isolated, and its impact on the other DeFi applications is minimized. And there are many other cases like this. We're also building in a very different space a partnership with Deloitte, where Deloitte is actually using its own subnet for keeping track of FEMA aftermath disbursements. So post-national emergency disbursements to people. They would like to keep track of what's being paid to whom, but they want to do it without having to pay fees on the main network. So, and I could have many other examples in between. Anything and everything that is that would like to isolate itself from activity on chain, that would like to use its own tokens for things other than whatever servicing the main chain, would be fantastic to support on a subnet.
So good, you have this very active community now, as Christine was saying, just growing on Avalanche. And obviously you were very active, of course, in Ethereum prior to starting Avalanche. How much of that overlap do you have there in the community in Avalanche and Ethereum? How much of that are people that you've taken out of Ethereum, if you will, and gone to Avalanche, or is there still a lot of overlap?
There is some overlap, of course. I myself am an overlapped person. I started out from Ethereum, as you mentioned. Now I'm working exclusively on top of Avalanche because it's so much nicer, faster, and cheaper. But I would say that we've added to the overall community. So blue chip DeFi applications that we all know from Ethereum are now bigger and better because of Avalanche's presence. I think the overall EVM community has prospered. And people who have learned Solidity now have multiple venues on which they can deploy their applications. And the sum total value that we've created as a space is larger because we are here. So I don't think that we are in any shape or form carving out the same set of users. I think we're adding to the general pool of users. And if you ask me what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, is tremendous growth. And we need platforms that can absorb that growth. And Avalanche is chief among them.